Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. Congressman, how do you view today's announcement of the 3 million plus documents that were released? Can you hear me, Congressman?
Thank you. Well, look, I can. Can you hear me?
Can. Yes, we can.
Well, look, I am glad that documents are being released. I'm going to be looking at whether the appropriate documents were released. What are we looking for? The FBI statements. We need to see whether the 302 forms are being released. That's where the survivors mention who the other rich and powerful men are who abused or raped them. We know from even Maxwell that there are many other men who cut secret deals. Who are these people? Those are in the 302 files. And second, are the prosecution memos being released? This is the document that shows why these rich and powerful men weren't prosecuted.
Blanche said today that there is a built-in assumption that there's some hidden tranche of information on men that's being covered up. He says that that's not the case. What does that mean in your mind for these survivors that you have been trying to pursue justice for?
Well, the survivors just want a transparent release. If Blanche believes that there is no cover-up, then he should release the 302 files. The 302 files are where the survivors name who these rich and powerful men are. I've talked to the survivors. They say that they have named those people in the FBI witness interviews. So if those witness interviews are released, the American people can see for themselves who the survivors named and can come to their own judgment of their guilt. But if Blanche continues to not release the 302 statements, to not release the prosecution memos, then it's a cover-up. And so it's not the quantity of documents, and no one is asking him to name exactly who all is in the files. We're just asking him to release the survivor witness interviews.
Blanche had this message for lawmakers like yourself. Let's listen.
If any member of Congress wishes to review any portions of the responsive production in any unredacted form, they're welcome to make arrangements with the department to do so, and we're happy to do that.
Congressman, are you going to take him up on that offer?
I will. Look, Thomas Massie and I have offered to meet with him and Pam Bondi. We have not had any meeting. We've offered to meet with the team that is doing it. Really, what I would like to see is these 302 statements. What I would like to see is these prosecution memos. And if Deputy Attorney General Blanche is open to meeting with Massie and me, I would welcome that. If he wants to have his team meet with us and show us where those documents are, I would welcome that.
A judge recently denied a request from you and Republican Congressman Thomas Massie to appoint an independent monitor to ensure the DOJ does comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Are there any other options you might be exploring following today's announcement from Blanche?
Well, first, I want to see the documents, because if the documents are responsive, then it'll be progress. And I don't want to prejudge it until I see what was released. But if the documents are not responsive, then you have survivors who could bring a lawsuit. Massie and I could bring a lawsuit. The judge said he almost welcomed us to bring a lawsuit if we wanted to pursue it. And we can continue the action in federal court. And there's obviously also holding Pam Bondi in contempt or impeachment. But just like in the first release, I did not make negative prejudgments until seeing the documents. I'm hoping, after all of the pressure from the judges, after all of the pressure from Congress, that they're now going to act in some good faith. But we have to see what documents they're releasing.
Did Blanche's comments help instill a little bit of faith that the DOJ is rolling out these documents in compliance with what your colleagues have mandated?
Well, we've caught their attention. I mean, look, President Trump signed the law. He signed my bill. It passed 427 to 1 in the House. It passed 100 to 0 in the Senate. You have Judge Engelmeyer and Judge Berman in the Southern District of New York saying release these things and release them appropriately. I think the Justice Department is responding to the extraordinary political and judicial pressure to obey the law. But I can't say whether they're acting in good faith until I see the documents. And again, I hope that we don't have to keep coming on these programs and relitigating it. Just release the 302 files and the prosecution memos. We'll see if they did.
Thank you so much, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna. You've been at the forefront of this story, that's for sure.